Hey everybody, welcome to Qué Golazo. We have a very special show for you, an exclusive, as Gigi Buffon returns to Parma. Our own Fabrizio Romano chats with Parma owner, the American Kyle Krause, to discuss Buffon's return, Parma's 2-year project in Serie A, and the hope for Parma to return to glory in Italy. It's a great chat, and it begins right now.
Really, again, thank you for the opportunity of this interview, and congrats for the amazing deal with Gigi Buffon. And what I wanted to ask you to start is, when this Buffon dream started, and if it's true that you had a direct contact with him before the match, you went to Parma, what he told you, so behind the scenes of this fantastic deal.
Well, I mean, I double checked with my son, Oliver. I'm like, I'll make sure I didn't like misquote what I'm thinking, but probably the day that we bought Parma, so September last year, is when this dream would have started, because it's just so, I say logical in the sense that why wouldn't you try to bring Gigi back? And so literally it was, right when we bought the club, we started to think and talk and say, gee, that'd be a great possibility. So that's when it started. You had that, kind of I'll say that seed plan in your mind where you think about it and then you just watch. And I think, yes, the second part of the story is true. There's a lot of great perks, I guess, of being the president of a Serie A club. And, one of those is you get to meet great people like Gigi. And, after our game in Torino, had a chance to meet Gigi after the game and, talk to him. And I just made the joke. And if you know Gigi's personality, he just starts kind of laughing and whatever about the joke. I said, hey, Gigi, you may want to come back to Parma and play for us next year. And he said, oh, I'm not thinking, that far in advance, just whatever. And he was, all kind of his personality, that big personality he has about it. So yes, I did make the, I guess, not joke to him when I saw him in April.
And how was for you to talk with a football legend like Buffon? Because we're talking about maybe the best goalkeeper of all time, having you now in your team. What is the feeling having this legend in your team and talking with him as your player now?
Well, it's, in one sense, it's truly hard to believe. And that's, again, maybe the beauty of, the lucky position that I'm in where, I've taken my kids to the World Cups and we've watched Gigi play for the Italian national team, including against the United States. We won't talk about that to my Italian friends, but watching Gigi play in multiple World Cups in person, and certainly, watching him play in Allianz, and you just, of him and the personality, and you think, like you just said, I mean, we've got arguably the greatest goalkeeper of all time, still undefeated last season as a goalkeeper, and going to be our goalkeeper. It's really just it's an unbelievable experience. So it feels fantastic. It is hard to believe in the sense that, wow, can we attract that player? But it's also just a fantastic story too.
And also the feeling that many clubs were looking for Gigi, because we have to say that I'm told that clubs from Europe, South America, Brazil, Turkey, Italy, Spain, wherever, top clubs as Barcelona too were looking for Gigi, because he's still one of the best in the game and not just a legend. And how you did it to convince Gigi to come to Parma? I know you have a fantastic project, but how you did it with so many clubs involved in the negotiation with Buffon?
Well, it happens because Gigi wants it to happen. And he has his motivations, and his motivations is what makes him a world-class athlete, and what keeps many world-class athletes going and achieving what none of us could even dream of achieving. And for him, there were just I think that romantic opportunity to come back home, to come back to a place that he had come as a very, very young teenager to us in Parma. And for me, it was just making sure that he had the opportunity and had that feeling And, I think for him, he sees what we're doing and trying to do at Parma Calcio, and he can be part of that and be an important part of that. And I think for him, the change that you see, the change that our management team's doing, the change that you see, Enzo as our coach do, for him, those were all points that made what we looked at be what he wanted. I mean, he can go anywhere. He can get whatever salary, whatever he wants. I mean, it's really got to be driven by him, and we just have to present our opportunity to him.
So it was really incredible, because many clubs were involved, and signing Gigi is something amazing. And what I wanted to ask you is about the project you have with Gigi. So it's a 2 years contract. So you're looking for something that is for 2 seasons. So in the Serie A, so if you confirm us, if you want to go immediately in Serie A with Gigi, and with Gigi as first goalkeeper, also maybe next season in Serie A, if you will do it, as we hope. And also if you feel in Gigi his desire to be part of Italian national team to the next World Cup next year, if you think it's something possible, and if you felt this kind of feeling from Gigi, because if you want to be the first goalkeeper at Parma and not the second, maybe in Barcelona or wherever, it's also because maybe he wants to do it.
I think for him, there are multiple things. I think coming back to Parma, being the -- 1 goalkeeper, and certainly as you're talking about from a national team standpoint, I think for him, I can't speak for national team coaches, but usually they want a player that's playing regularly to be their person. And I think Gigi really sees it to be that first person ever to do what he can do from a World Cup standpoint. And to do that, he has to stay on top of his game for 2 more seasons, because the World Cup will be, middle of the season of 2 years from now, however we want to count our seasons. And so I look at him, if I'm the national team coach, whoever it may be at that point, choosing those players, and I say I could bring a leader like him into the locker room, onto the field, and also have his talent, it seems like he's a good choice to be one of the goalkeepers for the Italian national team in Qatar in 2022. So we want to do everything we can to put him in that position, but then it's up to him. I mean, it's how he performs, and we have all the confidence he's going to perform fantastically.
Sure. So he's open to this opportunity, and we hope, because it would be great for Parma and for Gigi, of course.
Yes, I think he very much, one of his motivations is to play towards that and to be on top of his game so he can make the World Cup. I mean, again, high caliber athletes like him need those personal motivations, and that is one of his motivations.
Okay, perfect. And I wanted to ask you also about the project you have with Parma, because signing Buffon is a huge step, really is a big one, of course. So what are the next steps you are looking for? I know you have a project with many young talents. Buffon is a legend. So this kind of project, what do you see as next steps after signing such a legend as Gigi? And what are you looking for the next season as signings? We can expect also another signing like this. So another top player, maybe not so young, a part of young players that are at the center of your project.
Yes, I think we will, we're early in the Calcio Mercato right now, so we will sign probably some other experienced players, because I think we believe that you need that mix of experienced to young players for everybody's development. And certainly having that higher level experienced player brings both the talent and the example. And as a young player, you watch them and watch how hard they work and what examples they set, and they bring those experiences and that leadership to our younger players. And I think for the younger players, we will continue to invest in younger players, continue to invest in their development. And I think having Gigi come is a nice validation of what we're doing. Because in one sense, you can say, okay, yes, we got relegated from Serie A to Serie B, but this is what we're doing. And if I'm a young player has chances to go anywhere in the world, anywhere in Europe to play, you're going, well, I can play first division here versus second division in Italy. Why would I go to Italy? And I think this shows what our true desires are. I mean, we're not going to sign, a lot of players at Gigi's caliber. It just doesn't exist. It doesn't happen at Serie B. But I think having some experienced older players to come in with a continued movement towards young players. And you look at them as a group. It's not like there's the young players and the old players. It's a collective. It's a team. I mean, without trying to be cliche about it. And it's that mix that helps make. But we have the plan and aspirations to get back to Serie A right away, to continue to grow, and really to, in a longer term piece, to put Parma Calcio back where Parma was, in its glory years. And I think for us, that's the ambition, to grow to that. And that's not something you do in one season or 2 seasons. That's a building point to make that happen. But certainly, our ambition is to do that.
Okay. And so I wanted to ask you about your football experience with Parma. You said you want to bring Parma back at this glory, and working also in international football. I see many reactions from fans of other clubs saying this is fantastic to see Buffon back in Parma 26 years later. Is something really beautiful also as a football fan, and not just for journalists. So it's really incredible. And what I wanted to ask is about your feeling about Italian football experience. So how it's going? It's like less than 1 year, but you're highly appreciated. Your project is highly appreciated. Also, Parma fans understood that the first season, of course, was just the start, but you're building something, as you were saying, long term. So what is your feeling about Italian football with Parma project, and what you're looking for the next seasons?
Well, thank you for those kind words. I mean, as I say, I'm an Italian American, and I look at, I've had a passion for Italian football, for Serie A for a long, long time. And to have that opportunity to have Parma Calcio is just really it's a fantastic opportunity. And, the fans and the citizens of Parma have been, what I would say, too nice to me in their reception, because they've been fantastic. I get nothing but positive statements as I walk around the streets of Parma, and I did it every day for a long, long time, it seems like. And I'm surprised by the positivity that I get despite the results that we had last year. But I think it's, if I tried to rationalize that, I think the fans and the citizens of Parma see, the same type of ambition, and see that, we came into the season probably in a difficult situation, and more difficult than what we thought at the moment, as you're trying to make all the changes that were being made right before we bought the club. And I think for me, within, sort of how I see Italian football, and looking at that angle of it, I think there's an opportunity for change, and that can be difficult when you have success, is saying, okay, what is that opportunity to change like? But I think there's a need to continue to evolve, and I think Italian football needs to continue to evolve. And I think that change is to be open to new ideas, to new change. And it seems like you get a lot of expressions repeated back about, this is what Italian football is. This is what Serie A is. This is kind of those points. And I think the historic fiber of that is important, but the change needs to occur. And I think you look at that change and say, for me, how do all of us collectively take the Serie A and Italian football back to number 1 in the world, back to where the Premier League has put themselves over the last 30 years. And I think that opportunity has for the last period of time has slipped in Italy. But I think it's about making sure we're producing young players. I mean, look and see, stories about what Belgium did as a country to create the academy side to produce players. So you've got the national team at the level that is in Belgium, a country of 11 million people. I mean, it's amazing what they can do with that number of people, and not a very large group of pro clubs. I think it's 24 or something like that. So how do we build that? How do we create an environment where we attract the best players in the world to want to come? And then what do we need to do to make those changes within the country to make Serie A attractive? And then also we have to appeal to our fans and say, why are our fans not filling the stadiums like they do in Germany? What are we doing differently in Italy? And part of that's the infrastructure. I mean, you've probably been to many, 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 many stadiums in Italy, and they're difficult experiences. And I think part of what we want to do is take Tardini and make it into a today and a future type of experience from a fan experience standpoint. And that needs to happen. That you can't walk into somewhere where you're sitting and the roof's leaking and the restrooms are old and you don't get that experience. And so it's 2021. All of us as people invested in Italian football have to look at these types of things to make change. And change is hard. People know the way they know, and they've had whatever success, but it's how do you grow the sport versus contracting the sport? And growing the sport is making sure that we have as many pro clubs as possible. Why not? Making sure we have the right owners of pro clubs all the way through the system that want to do this from a longer term standpoint. Have the stadiums, have that, you just look at what England's done, and they've created fantastic environments there in multiple levels, not just at the EPL, but championship and below. And those things can happen in Italy. We have to continue to work towards it. And it's going to take time to make that happen.
Yes. And this is highly appreciated. You are talking about this and working on this with Parma also in a difficult season, as you said, was the first one. But thinking on this kind of things shows how ambitious is the project. And before coming back for the last questions about Gigi, I wanted to ask you also about the amazing work you're doing with the board and with the manager, because you signed many between the best executives and managers in Europe, because Ribalta did a fantastic job. I can mention also Pedersoli, Galli, and the manager, and so Maresca, amazing job with Manchester City under 23. Many people talking so well about him. Many clubs were interested in him, and he's part of your project now. So your feeling about this new project with many people involved, and I really wanted to mention also Ribalta, because he did an incredible job here with Juventus and Zenit and Manchester United for many years, and now he's part of this Parma project.
Yeah, we've been lucky enough to attract two very strong managing directors, Jaap on the business side and Javier on the sport or football side. And then, they have the ability to attract additional talent. And I think part of it just believing in that change in that different way and that open-mindedness. And you bring in someone like you mentioned, Enzo to be our coach. You bring in someone who's open-minded in their approach and what they want to do. And that's what you want. I don't care, in any business, you want to look around for the best ideas and look around for, how do we get better versus continue to do the same thing. And yeah, I am really happy with the quality of people that have come to us, whether we're talking, it's fantastic. And then working with them in just the brief period of time they've been with us, Filippo Galli is just a fantastic person that's just doing stuff all the time from a scouting standpoint. We're finding great talent with Mamo and team. And so we'll continue to. I feel like I need to about every second day go, well, we just hired, that person to run, our goalkeeping program throughout the entire system. And we just, once he gets done with the Euros, we can have him come back. And we're in these different parts of what we're doing, we're attracting talent that want to do and believe in what our project is and that long-term aspect. And I think that, you want people that want to be with you a long time. I understand if we create opportunities, if our Primavera coach goes on to be a first team coach someplace else, that's just part of the pipeline of developing talent. But you want an environment people want to be there. And part of that is, I've only been there a year, so I can't talk about stability of ownership yet. But, certainly as I talk about what I want, I talk about in the terms of generations and my family owning Parma Calcio. And so you're part of this building that's not about, 1 week or 1 month, but it's about what can we accomplish over time. And those investments in building take time. And the talent, I thank you for bringing that up. But the talent, Fabrizio, that we have so far has been absolutely fantastic with more coming. So I am very happy. I think Javier and Jaap have done a fantastic job attracting talent.
I feel it, and I really like it. I really appreciate it. And I wanted to ask you just last questions about Gigi, the obvious one is about the captain. He will be the captain, just to be confirmed if it's true. And I also wanted to ask you, what's been the first thing Gigi told you after signing the contract? Because we saw about Juventus-Parma match, okay, but after signing the contract as new Parma player, I imagine how you were buzzing to have Gigi as part of your team. What he told you, and what are the first feelings immediately after the contract signed?
Well, I think going to the captain, I think as the president, it's not my role to choose who the captain is. I can say, having watched Gigi, he definitely has captain characteristics. You see it. You see him. I don't care if he's sitting in the stands for Juventus, every bit as passionate about the game as whether he's on the field. When he's on the field, you see that coaching, that smiling, even with the opponents. And so I think Enzo will decide who the captain is, but I would say that Gigi certainly has the captain characteristics that would make him look like he may be our captain. I think for conversationally, what Gigi really commits, again, like a world-class athlete, that, I'm here to learn. I'm here to perform at the highest level possible. I'm here to produce. That's what I'm here to do. I'm not here to walk in as this, my words, famous player. I'm here to produce and make things happen for Parma Calcio. And that's what he was talking to me, is about going back to his motivations and how he is motivated to have his personal success and Parma Calcio success together. And that's what he really was about expressing. And that's what you don't sign a person to be your starting goalkeeper unless he says those things. But it's a great validation that he says those things as you sign the person. And he does it with that big smile of his. He does it with that big personality, and he's really he'll bring a lot of energy, a lot of positivity, and a lot of leadership to what we're doing. And just a quick story even before we signed him. And so as he's talked to Enzo, because certainly you need to talk to the coach if you're going to be the goalkeeper. And as he's talking to Enzo, he goes, Enzo, send me all the film on Man City U23 team last year. I want to see how you use the goalkeeper, what the responsibilities are. I want to watch all the film. I want to learn from that so I can be when I show up for the retreat, I want to be there ready to go. And so that's a world-class athlete that knows that I'm not going to rest on my laurels of what I did. I'm going to come in and learn before I come in to understand what my coach wants from me as the goalkeeper. And I think that's just another reason why Gigi is Gigi, and why Gigi will be, in my opinion, tremendously successful for us.
Fantastic. This is fantastic, and shows, as you said, how Gigi is committed to this project. So really, thank you for telling us about Buffon, about Parma project, about your ideas. It was a big pleasure to have you on CBS Sports, and really congrats again, because signing Gigi Buffon is something really fantastic and amazing for Italian football, and not only for European international football.
Well, Fabrizio, thanks for having me. Certainly, I enjoy always talking with you, and it is a fantastic feeling to be able to have Gigi. And I'm excited on behalf of all of our fans around the world to have him there, and for the success it'll bring to Parma Calcio.
Thank you. Thank you again.
My pleasure.
Hey everybody, I want to thank Fabrizio Romano and Kyle Krause for joining Qué Golazo today. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Qué Golazo Pod. We're also on Apple Podcasts. Please leave a 5-star rating and review. We're on Spotify, on Stitcher, and of course, that we're on YouTube. And please keep spreading the word so more people can subscribe. It's the best way to grow and expand this show. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.